It is so very exciting, especially when you are starting the journey to look for new employment. Well, for most, it may be a little scary, but for me, I always think as a career coach, wow, this is exciting. So you are now thinking about money. How much money should you ask for? And if you are having a little bit of a struggle with it, this is the perfect video for you because this video is all about negotiation. So I'm going to share a few things that I think will be very important for you to note when you are in the job search process, and also to note when you are having conversations with either the hiring manager or the recruiter as it relates to money. Before you actually get to the process of asking or them asking you about your salary requirements, you should have done some research. There's several organizations like salary.com and payscale.com, glassdoor.com, and LinkedIn, they just created a salary.com. So you can definitely go to salary and add in LinkedIn, and you'll be able to look at the salary components there. The great thing about the websites that I just mentioned is that if you put in the name of the role, as well as the city and state that you live in, it will give you a range on what you can expect for your pay. Why is that important? That's important because it's the magical question of that what recruiters and hiring managers wants to know. Sometimes we make the mistake and say, oh, it's one number. But my suggestion is for you to create a range. For example, if you go and you've done your research and every one of those particular organizations say the middle range is about $100,000. Well, you know, when you're having the discussions with your recruiter or your hiring manager, that $100,000 is a pretty good number to start with. Now, you also want to, again, make sure you give a full range. So if it says like $100,000, at least $10,000 to $20,000 is a nice range. You want to be able to go in between. Now, it is not my recommendation that you bring up money first in any negotiation process. You want to make sure that that company or organization, that they bring it up. And in that conversation, if they say, well, what are your salary requirements? Then my first suggestion is say something like, well, I really like to know what has the organization budgeted for this role. The reason why you want to ask for the budget is because the organization has a budget for the role. And you want to find out first what that budget is. If you get a little pushback and they say, well, we would much prefer you giving us the range that you have, then you can say something to the effect of, well, because this is not the same exact job that I'm going to be doing because it's a different organization, I would really like to know what your organization has budgeted. Generally speaking, they'll be okay with that second answer. However, if they push even more, then because you've done your homework, you'll be able to have that range. So that's why it's important for you to have a range in mind, and you can say something like, well, after doing a little research with, reputable organizations, this is what I found has been the range or is the range for this particular role. That way you kind of have it in your back pocket that you already have the number or a set or a range of numbers in your mind. Another thing to remember is compensation is not just about what you're going to be making every 2 weeks or once a month. Compensation is about the full benefits package. So sometimes you have to consider not just the amount of money that you'll be negotiating, but also negotiating things like vacation, medical, dental, vision. You can also, pet care is something that you can negotiate, stocks, a sign-on bonus. So there are tons of other things that you can actually negotiate that's not just what you're going to be making, again, every 2 weeks or once a month. You want to create an actual plan. When you are having a conversation, already do your research on some things that you want to be able to negotiate. I always suggest never when I go tit for tat in negotiation. You want to always make sure that you ask, is this negotiable? And then give them a full idea of all of the things that you would like to negotiate on, and not sending email after email after email changing, oh, I want to negotiate this or I want to go negotiate that. So once you get an offer, you want to make sure that you look at all the components, and then in response to your offer, make sure that you can ask additional questions about those other things like I mentioned, i.e. vacation or stocks or sign-on bonuses. You also want to see like a lot of times Glassdoor will have the information about some kinds of benefits that they have. If there are any additional benefits, educational benefits, or some companies now are doing benefits where they'll help pay for your student loans. Are those benefits available to you? And that would be something for you to be able to discover and to find out. So again, you want to make sure that you have a great range, understand the range by doing your research in advance with that particular role. You also want to make sure that you're ready to go. So when they ask you the question, be ready to kind of defer a little bit. And then if they do press on, that you have an answer for them. And also too, you want to make sure that you understand negotiation is not just about what you'll be making every 2 weeks or once a month. It's about the full compensation package. So once you've done all of this, you've gotten your research, you know exactly, what you're worth, then you're starting that negotiation process. And like I said, you don't want to nickel and dime with the process. You want to create we'll call it your rebuttal. We want to create the document that you have, of all the things that you're asking for, and be ready. You can either do it by phone or you can do it by email. However, the biggest thing is to make sure that in the negotiation process that you are not being so stuck on what you believe. If you really want to work for an organization, I hear all the time people like, it's my dream job, but they're not paying what I want. You also have to remember there are opportunities for you to advance. And that is also why you should make sure that you ask if there are bonuses available or what does it look like to progress within that organization. So as you can see, when it comes to negotiation, it's not just about money. It's about so many other things. And when you are looking for an opportunity for a new role, you want to make sure that you're considering the whole compensation packet. And again, not just what you're going to be making every 2 weeks or once a month.